Let's leave the noise of the day behind, just for a little while. Good evening, friends. I'm Mr. Narratory. If you're here, it means the day is done and the quiet has finally arrived. Tell me, what time is it where you are right now? And what's your favorite way to end the day? If these stories bring you peace, consider subscribing, liking, or sharing them with someone who needs a little calm. Now, let's begin. The cafe doesn't open with a sound. There's no bell above the door, no clatter of keys, no rush of warm air spilling from inside. It simply becomes visible, like fog that has chosen to take shape. One moment the street is empty, the kind of quiet corner where the pavement is cracked just enough to catch rainwater and the street lamp hums like it remembers music. The next moment, it's there. Windows soft with condensation, the smell of something baked long ago still lingering in the wood, and a door with no handle. Only the gentle push of someone who knows how to ask permission with their presence. No one sees it arrive. No one sees it leave. But those who need it always find it. I've been keeping it for years now, though I don't call myself an owner. It doesn't belong to me. Not really. I just tend the space. I light the candles. I wipe the counter with a linen cloth that smells faintly of cardamom. I set out the mugs. They don't match, some are chipped, most are heavy. A few seem to remember hands that once held them with grief or gratitude or both. The shelves are filled with jars and small tins, none labeled, yet I always know which one to reach for. That's the magic of this place. It meets you exactly where you are, but never says so aloud. The floor creaks only in welcome. The chairs sigh, as though they're relieved to be sat in. And the light, it doesn't come from above, but from within. A glow that hums at the edge of things. The corners of a napkin, the rim of a saucer, the steam rising slowly from the kettle. Tonight, the first visitor appears just after the last sound of the day has faded from the city. Their steps are unsure, shoulders tucked forward as if they've spent too many hours folding inward. They don't knock. No one knocks. They simply enter, gently, and I nod once, already reaching for the mug I know they need. Something with weight, something to anchor. I fill it with warmth, not tea, not coffee, just warmth. It smells like memory softened by time. They take it with both hands and find a seat by the window, not looking out but letting the glass reflect the glow back onto their face. And we sit. No questions, no introductions, just presence. That's what the cafe offers. A kind of company that doesn't need explanation. And maybe, if you've come here too in thought, in breath, in need, you're sitting with us now. Maybe you found a corner where the light reaches your fingertips and says, you don't have to be anything but here. Let your thoughts rest on the rim of the cup. Let your worries loosen, like steam rising without direction. There's nothing expected of you tonight. You're already enough. Outside, the fog presses close to the glass, but doesn't come in. The cafe holds its warmth, its hush, its glow, and here, in this moment, everything else can wait. There's no menu here. That's something people always notice, if they notice anything at all. No chalkboard on the wall, no glass case filled with names of things you're meant to want. Instead, the cafe listens. And when someone walks in, when their shoulders ease down just a little and they exhale without realizing it, that's when I know what to pour. It's not guessing. It's remembering, though not from memory. More like recognition. Like when you hear a tune you don't recall learning and your mouth hums along anyway. Tonight, a second guest steps in. They arrive not from the street, but from the kind of moment that splits the day from everything that came before it. Their coat is dry but smells of snow, their eyes quiet but wide, and their hands stay in their pockets just long enough for me to understand. They've been holding on to something heavy. I greet them with silence, see not absence, but presence, and place a mug on the counter before they've reached it. It's pale green, thick-rimmed, and slightly warm even before I fill it. The drink inside is deep brown, flecked with something sweet. It smells like cinnamon and a kind of gentleness that doesn't need to be named. They touch it like someone expecting it to vanish. It doesn't. Nothing does in here unless it wants to. They take the seat beside the first guest, who hasn't moved from the window. For a while, the two of them don't speak. Their cups steam together. Their breath finds a rhythm. And in that rhythm, the cafe begins to hum a low vibration that lives in the walls and under the floorboards. And between the spaces, people leave when they think they're alone. I light another candle and place it near the register, not because it's needed, but because some lights aren't for seeing, some are for remembering. The cafe never grows busy, not in the way people expect, but it always fills exactly as much as it needs to. The chairs are never too few. The glow never runs out. There's always another cushion, another blanket, another coat hung by the door that feels like it's been worn before. If you listen closely, you'll hear a sound in the background that's not quite music, more like the memory of it. A low melody woven with distant conversation and the soft clink of ceramic on wood. It never starts. It never ends. It just lingers. And if you've come here, in your own way in a thought, in the stillness between one breath and the next, I hope you'll stay for a while. You don't need to ask for anything. What you need is already being made. Let your thoughts cool at the edge of the cup. Let your hands relax. You're not alone, even in your silence, especially in your silence. Here, quiet is not empty. It's a form of care. Outside, the street remains quiet. No footsteps pass. No cars drift by. But the fog thickens, gently, like a curtain being drawn over the rest of the world. And in here, the world you needed begins to take shape in steam and stillness. The third person to arrive never looks directly at the door. They come in through the kind of pause that doesn't have a sound, the way someone slips into a room after grief or love or laughter has already done its work. There's something slow in the way they move, like they're still deciding if they've truly arrived or if they're just a feeling someone else left behind. The cafe makes space for them. One of the low stools near the bookshelf shifts slightly, just enough to invite. A small amber glass mug, already warm, rests on a linen coaster before they even reach it. The drink inside isn't hot just, the perfect kind of warm, like the underside of a comforter or the place your hand lands on someone else's shoulder when you forget to be cautious. They take the seat, slowly, and the other two guests, still quiet, still present, don't turn to look, but the air shifts in recognition. That's the magic of this cafe. You never have to introduce yourself. You've already been met. There's a kind of breath that returns when no one's waiting for an answer, and it starts to move through the room now easier, fuller, like someone humming without meaning to. I wipe the counter not because it's dusty, but because the rhythm of the cloth helps the cafe think. Each circle of the wrist, each flick of the edge, speaks to the wood in a way that lets it know everything's still in place. Above, the lights in the ceiling small, low-hung bulbs encased in etched glass glow gently without flickering. They don't light the room, they remember it, and it's enough. I rest my elbows against the bar and glance toward the back wall, where the narrow shelf of books leans just a little to the right, as it always has. The books are never labeled. They open when they're ready. Sometimes, guests find themselves holding one without realizing it, flipping through pages that tell stories not written but felt pages that smell like seasons, or paper-thin memories, or the echo of a voice that once told them something they forgot they needed. Tonight, none of the guests reach for a book. That's fine. The cafe doesn't ask. It only offers, and maybe you feel that too. Here with us, maybe something in your chest has loosened, even if your shoulders haven't noticed. Maybe you're listening with the part of yourself that doesn't need words. That's welcome here. Let yourself receive without reaching. Let the warmth from the nearest candle find your hands. You're not asked to heal in this space, just to breathe, just to be. The third guest sets their mug down softly, looks at the steam curling upward, and lets their eyes close not in sleep, but in rest. A different kind of rest. One that lives in marrow and silence, and the kind of company that says, "You're not alone," without ever speaking. I pour a second mug, though no one has asked for it yet, and place it on the counter beside an empty chair. The cafe knows. It always does. The door doesn't open so much as its sighs. It's the kind of arrival that doesn't disturb a thing knot. The stillness, not the steam, not even the slant of candlelight stretched across the wooden floor. The fourth guest carries no sound with them. Their coat is long, the kind that trails just slightly behind, brushing the threshold like a thought too soft to finish. I nod when they enter, but say nothing. There's no need. Their seat was ready before their steps reached it, a wide armchair in the corner, worn smooth with time, positioned not for watching, but for being. They take it with a kind of grace that comes only from long practice in uncertainty, like someone who has learned the shape of waiting without ever being told what for. I bring them something rich, something deep, not dark, but round. It smells faintly of stone fruit and cedar, and it's served in a ceramic mug the color of clouded sky. When I place it on the table beside them, they rest a hand around it without lifting, just touching, like it might speak first, and it does. In its warmth, in the way it does not cool too quickly. Across the room, the first guest is tracing patterns on the fogged window with the side of their finger. Circles, spirals, lines that fade before they finish. The second guest leans back now, arms folded softly across their stomach, as if holding something light. The third hums barely, quietly, a tune with no name but perfect rhythm. And so the cafe holds all of it, the drawing, the resting, the music, not as distractions, but as truths made gentle. I stand behind the counter again, letting my hands rest flat on the worn oak, and I look out across the room. It's full now, not with people, but with presence. There is a weight to the quiet, but not a burden. A rootedness. Like the floor knows your name, and the chair is remembering the shape of your sorrow just well enough to let it dissolve. The shelves behind me creak faintly, and I turn to find one of the books sewn with a soft gray spine, and no title has opened. It does that sometimes, only when it knows someone is ready to see what's inside. I don't touch it. I simply place a candle nearby and let the flame lean close. The fourth guest doesn't look up, but I see their breathing change, slower now. Their shoulders soften, just enough to be felt. And maybe you feel that wherever you are, however you've arrived, maybe you've been carrying something long and quiet. Maybe tonight you've decided to set it down just for a little while. That's what this place is for. You don't have to be joyful, you don't have to be certain, just present. Let the hush fold around your spine. Let the cup warm both hands, even if only in thought. Outside, the fog thickens and the world narrows to this single room of flickering light, soft breath, and chairs that never forget you were here. The cafe will hold your place, always. There is a kind of fullness the cafe reaches that doesn't depend on how many chairs are taken or how much light remains. It's something deeper, something that settles when presence has reached its own quiet rhythm. That's where we are now. The light from the low lamps along the window ledge reflects in wide arcs across the mugs and polished floor, scattering golden shapes like footprints of the hush itself. The fifth guest arrives with a kind of gentle weight, the kind that presses not with urgency, but with long hours, long thoughts. They hold nothing in their hands. Their coat is folded over one arm, and when they step inside, the door doesn't shift the air so much as let it exhale. I meet their eyes for just a breath. That's all we need. Their drink is already steeping something fragrant, something soft. It smells faintly of chamomile and honey bark, like the scent of a childhood memory wrapped in late autumn. The cup is plain, cream-colored, smooth. It steams in slow spirals as I place it on the table closest to the corner shelf where old maps are, stacked maps of places that don't exist, or maybe used to, or perhaps only do when someone believes in them again. The fifth guest sits without question, without glance. Their shoulders dip low, not slouched but safe, as if the chair they've taken has been holding a space for this exact shape, for this exact moment. The fourth guest closes their eyes, still holding their mug. The third leans back, their humming softened into breath. The second reaches across their table and traces something into the wood grain with one finger type, an old habit maybe, a name, or a wish. I walk the perimeter slowly, touching the back of each chair as I pass, like a lighthouse keeping time with its own beam. I light another candle at the far end of the counter and then pause. In the flicker of its flame, I see the condensation on the window shift just a little, and outside a bird small and still rests on the railing, as if it too has found its way here. The cafe recognizes those who wander. It honors those who stay. And you, if you're still listening, still here in the warmth of this shared silence, I hope you know this. Your presence has shaped the room too. Not loudly, not deliberately, but like light falling through leaves, like warmth left in a seat just vacated. That's enough. That's more than enough. Let yourself be part of this hush. Let the walls remember your breath, even if you don't speak. Let your heart lean into the pause between thoughts. This cafe doesn't serve conversation unless it's asked for. It serves room. It serves space. And here, right now, you're being held by more than the chair beneath you. You're being held by everything you didn't have to say. Outside, the fog pulses once, like the world nodding in understanding. And inside, the hum continues soft, steady, unbroken. Nothing inside the cafe tells you how long you've been there. The clocks don't tick. The candles don't burn down. The fog outside never recedes far enough to make a guess. It's not that time stops, it just stops needing to be counted. Here, it stretches like a blanket pulled across tired shoulders, softening every second into something round and whole. The fifth guest has dozed slightly, one hand still cradling their cup. The others remain as they are, not motionless, but settled. Every breath they take becomes part of the space. I've always believed the cafe doesn't measure capacity by number, but by presence, and tonight, it is full in the truest sense. I move behind the counter not to work but to tend. The shelf above holds a row of small tins, each filled with dried herbs and fragments of warmth. Lavender stem, lemon rind, rosemary, clove. I choose one at random, though I always seem to pick what's needed. I open the tin and leave it beside the register, letting the scent carry across the grain of the bar. It smells like winter, held gently in the hand, like the inside of a coat that once knew laughter. A breeze moves through the rafters, not wind, not cold, just air stirred by memory, and the candles flutter without dimming. The cafe remembers things people forget to tell it, moments they breathed through, feelings they released without knowing. And tonight, I can feel it holding someone gently, like a song played so softly, it's only heard when you stop thinking. I glance toward the small wooden tray on the windowsill, the one where people sometimes leave things behind a ribbon, a receipt, a single key with no label. Tonight, someone's left a folded note, no name, no writing on the outside. I don't open it. I never do. But I set a candle beside it, just in case the message still needs light. Maybe it's from you. Maybe it's for you. Maybe it's neither and still exactly right. And if you're still here, still listening, still letting your thoughts slow just enough to make room for breath, I want you to know this. You don't need to finish anything to feel whole. Rest doesn't require resolution. The cafe welcomes the unfinished, the uncertain, the just passing through. There is a kind of healing that happens only in the company of quiet, and this room is rich with it now. Even the floorboards have stopped creaking, as if they too are wrapped in the warmth. Outside, the bird on the railing is gone, but in its place, a single feather small soft gray rests in the exact center of the frost-dusted wood. I don't move to touch it, I just notice. That's what the cafe teaches best. Noticing, not fixing, not chasing, just being. The fifth guest stirs now, lifts their cup again, and takes a breath like someone who's just remembered their own name. The room doesn't change, but the glow feels warmer. And the fog, though thick, seems to hold less weight than before. No one arrives for a while, and that is the truest measure of comfort, when no one comes or goes, not because they are kept, but because they are complete. The cafe hums softly beneath it, all beneath the stillness, beneath the low flicker of light against wood, beneath the breath of 5 souls who have said nothing and still found each other. I walk slowly, clearing nothing, adjusting nothing, only offering small gestures to the room, as if brushing the sleeve of someone who's just fallen asleep. The chairs hold their guests gently, without need. The cups, half empty or full, are still warm, not because of the drinks, but because of the hands that wrapped around them like folded stories. The air smells of steep spice and old cedar and something sweet you only recognize once you've stopped naming it. I pause near the window, where the fog presses thickest, and for a moment I think I see movement, just a shadow passing, or maybe a reflection too slow to belong to this moment. I don't open the door. I don't need to. If the cafe is calling someone, it will open itself. I return to the back of the room, where a small wooden cabinet leans crookedly against the wall, and inside it are scraps of things guests have left behind over the years. Not lost, just given. I sift through them without urgency. A page torn from a recipe book, edges frayed. A charm shaped like a leaf. A coin from nowhere. I find a folded bit of cloth faded blue. Soft at the corner's end, I place it gently on the table nearest the 4th guest. They do not look, but I see the way their fingers shift, ever so slightly, like something inside them just exhaled. The cafe is like that. It offers what you didn't ask for, but always needed. And if you're still hair-drifting somewhere between sleep and waking, between remembering and forgetting, I hope you know this. The quiet around you isn't absence. It's care, stretched wide enough for your breath to rest in. You haven't been left behind. You've been held. And the stillness you feel isn't emptiness. It's room made just for you. The candle near the bookshelf burns lower now, casting light into the curve of spines that have never needed titles. One flickers once, twice, and stays steady. The hum shifts slightly, as if the cafe is humming for you now, not to lull, but to say, I see you. The 5th guest stands, not to leave, just to stretch, arms overhead, then back down, hands smoothing the front of their coat. They glance toward the window, toward the feather on the sill, toward something only they know how to see. The others remain seated, still and softened. Outside, the fog lifts an inch, maybe 2, but not enough to reveal the world. Just enough to remind us it's still there. And in here, time breathes. Slowly, kindly, like a friend who's promised not to rush you. The cafe never closes with a sound. There is no bell, no latch drawn, no lights dimmed in a final gesture. Instead, it begins to fold inward, like a page turned softly at the end of a chapter. Words still lingering, story not ended, just resting. The fog outside has started to pale at the edges, not from sun but from space, as if the night itself is stepping aside to make room for something quieter. Inside, the warmth doesn't fade, it settles. The fifth guest has returned to stillness, hands resting loosely around their now empty cup, eyes open but unfocused, like someone watching memory through a window. The others begin to move and nod away, just differently. A shoulder shifts. A mug is turned half a degree. Someone breathes more deeply than before. That's how departures begin in this place. Not with leaving, but with readiness. I walk the room one more time, not to collect, but to listen. The cups are empty, but the warmth inside them remains. The candles burn low, but none extinguish. I pause by the cabinet and tuck the blue cloth back inside, pressing it gently between the pages of an unwritten book. A flicker near the windowsill draws my eye. The feather is gone now, carried off by wind or wonder, and in its place, a single drop of water glistens on the pane, catching the early light like a tiny, perfect answer. I don't reach for it. I only nod. The chairs creak faintly as the guests stand one by one, each in their own time, each with the kind of motion that says, I'm not the same as I was when I arrived. No one speaks. No one needs to. They make their way to the door, hands finding sleeves, breath-warming scarves, steps quiet but sure. I don't follow. I simply hold the space as they pass, the way a fire holds a room even after the logs have gone still. The door opens for each of them, as if it too understands their pace. And when the last one goes, the cafe remains not empty, not closed, just quiet in a way that means thank you. I blow out the candle nearest the register, not to end the glow, but to let it rest. The scent of cinnamon and cedar still lingers, along with something softer, something like grace. If you're still here, if you've stayed with me through this hush, I want you to remember something. Stillness is not the absence of life. It's a kind of devotion. And rest is not a pause in your story. It is part of it. Let this space you've walked through remain with you, even when you can't return. Let the warmth you felt become part of your breath. You don't need to hurry. You never did. You're welcome to come back whenever the night needs you to feel whole again. Outside, the world stirs. A street lamp blinks. The sky lightens. But here, in the cafe that only opens when the world sleeps, the final glow remains for just a little while longer. Just long enough to hold you once more. Thank you for spending this quiet moment with me, tucked in the glow of a little cafe that lives between the hours. I hope you found some warmth here, some softness, some space to just breathe. If the hush meant something to you tonight, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear which part stayed with you. And if you'd like more stories like this, gentle, slow, and made for rest, feel free to like, subscribe, or just come back when the world grows quiet again. You'll always have a seat here. Until next time, sleep well, friend. You've done enough for today.